everybody. Welcome to another episode of Visual Studio Toolbox. I'm your host, Leslie Richardson, and I am joined today by Jimmy Engstrom, who's going to be talking about the awesomeness that is Blazm and StageCoder. So, welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. So, before we talk about how awesome both of these tools are, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're working on?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jimmy Engstrom. I am a Microsoft MVP for, I think, 11 years now. I've written some books on books and courses about Blazor because I really love that technology. I am the co-host of Coding Off the Work podcast. We have a Twitch channel and a YouTube channel, so please check that out if you want to check out more Blazor stuff. We do a lot of live coding and we talk about, well, Blazor and .NET in general. Now we just moved house okay, so I don't know if I still can say just moved house because it's been over a year now.
I mean, that still counts. That's how that takes me to unpack my boxes when I move. So,
That's basically that's the thing that I'm telling everyone. As long as I still have boxes that are unpacked, we're still in the process of moving.
that's my definition. I support it. Sweet. And yeah, do check out his podcast. It's great. Oh man,
Can you
that was
guess?
so long ago. Yeah, I was a guest. It was, oh my gosh, when was it? It was like a year or two ago. I don't know what time is it.
That is quite possible. And to be honest, you were one of the last podcasts we recorded to this date.
Yeah, shoot.
We've been, well, since we moved, everything has been on hold basically, but we're getting back there.
Awesome. Looking forward to its great revival after all the boxes are
Yeah.
unpacked and stuff. Sweet. So I'm excited. We're talking about some Blazor stuff, and we're talking about StageCoder, which are both extensions. And yes, right. So let's start with Blazm. What is it? Why is it awesome?
Well, I've been doing Blazor development since 2019, basically when it came out, and there are a lot of awesome things when it comes to Blazor, but there's also some things that are a little bit more tricky to do, or you have to do multiple steps to get there. And we thought that maybe we can do it a little bit easier. It actually started with that we had a folder structure where we had pages, which were about Blazor components that we can reach through a route. And then we had components which was Blazor components that we could not reach through a route. And the bigger the application became, it became harder and harder to find the route or find the component matching the route. So one of the first or the first feature that we built was to find the route. And then just continued finding some small things that, you know what, this could be easier, this could be done in a different way. So we started adding features to this extension. And well, here we are.
Great. So basically, it helps make it easier for devs to be able to find the connections between the routes and their Blazor or Razor components.
Yeah, one of the features, yes.
Sweet. That's cool. And then where does StageCoder fit into all this, or is that kind of a separate entity?
That's a completely separate thing. And I really enjoy presentation skills, and I've been trained by some of the best in the world. I mean, I'm not saying that I am in any way or form, but I put a lot of effort into my presentations. And I kind of like the idea that you would adapt the content to the end user.
Mhm.
So, kind of like with programming, UX is very important, and so is presentation skills. And basically, what happened was that I did a talk. This was many years ago now, and I got one bad review. He's typing too slow. Uh,
Oh, no.
I mean,
Typing is one of the most anxiety-inducing demo, things I have to do. I don't know about you, but
and I mean, there typing while people are watching is one skill.
Mm.
type when people are watching and speaking at the same time. That is something that
Yes.
not a lot of people can master, really.
No. Yeah.
So I thought, could this be done better in some way? And I mean, this review stuck with me for a very long time. And I just that was one of the first presentations that I did live coding. I've only used PowerPoint or just shown finished parts already. So suddenly it was very I was very vulnerable at that point. I just started off, "Oh, I can do that. I think I can do live coding." And well, apparently I could not, based on that review. So that's where that extension came to mind. Can we do something better while we are presenting?
Makes sense. Cool. I'm excited to see both of these. StageCoder in particular, as a fellow presenter
Oh,
and
awesome.
as someone who hates live coding for all the reasons that you just shared. It's like, oh man, that might be useful for me too. But yeah, let's start things off with Blazm, since that's the first thing in the title.
Here we have a Blazor project. This is just a file new project. So let's start with the first function that we built. So up here with in Blossom, we can show the Blazor routes. So these are the routes that are currently in this project. So we have, well, the root, we have the counter, error, and weather. If I click these, they will also move to that file. This was the first one that we built, and it really helped us a lot.
Yeah, you have a centralized place to see all of your bajillion routes now. That's nice.
Mhm. Let me see here. So another thing that came out, which was really amazing, was isolated CSS. And the easy way of creating isolated CSS would be to kind of go into this folder, press Shift F2. Okay, so now I need to, it needs to be named the same thing, counter. I'm going to misspell this a couple of times. I'm going to forget about the eraser
That live
extension
coding.
and also CSS. So there we go. Now we can use our isolated CSS. Or we can right click here and simply move down to create isolated CSS. Boom. There we go. And there we have a file. Same thing goes with isolated JavaScript. We can create a code behind. So all of these things gets created for us and it's just done very easily, I think. Then I got a request that I'm a mouse person. I use my mouse. I really like clicking things.
I do too. Team Mouse.
And but this person, he said, no, I want to use the keyboard. So I want to be able to move between counter, the CSS, the code behind, and all of that. So you can
Mhm.
press Control Alt N and simply move down the tree and up again. So down to the CSS, JavaScript, and up again. So it's kind of an easier way to navigate these different files.
Yeah, definitely.
We have, let me see here. Let's add a namespace here. Let's using what do we have? Do we have some kind of namespace? Microsoft, ASP.NET Core components. Let's use that one. I really don't like having namespaces like this, especially if I'm using them again and again.
Mhm.
So what we can do is that we can select this one, right click. Let me actually save this file first, but otherwise it might go berserk on me. So I can select this namespace, right click, and move namespace to import. Boom. So it removes that one and moves it over here instead.
Nice. I forget. So that is a part of the Blosm
Yes.
experience, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's nice. So, and I'm assuming if you don't already have an imports file like that, it'll automatically generate one for you. Or gets
Yes.
used to.
It it needs to be there, but the default project has an imports file.
Yeah.
So Visual Studio has a feature. Let me see if I can get that to work here. Quick action. So extract block to code behind. So this is built into Visual Studio.
Mhm.
So I can move this to my code behind file. Did it actually create? Oh, it created one for me. Okay, let me remove my file. There we go. Okay, so it created a new file for me. I already had one. So I've been working with Blazor for when Blazor came out, it was all about writing code in razor files, and it was possible to do code behind, but every demo I saw was in the razor file. It had all the code there. So I started to, well, maybe that's the preferred way of working. So I started working with that, trying to figure out if that is the way that I want to work with code. And I realized quite fast that yes, I really enjoy having the code in the razor file. But we also had a lot of code in code behind because that's what we did at work.
Mhm.
So then we can save this file as well. Let's just right click on the counter file here and move code behind to razor. And this is a beta feature. It's not really a beta feature, but I really wanted people to make sure that they have everything checked in so it doesn't do anything bad. So I can click OK, and boom, we move the code to
Nice.
razor file. And apparently did not do a good job with formatting the code.
I was going to ask the good old elephant in the room that most people talk about with the Razor file
Yeah,
sometimes
there we go. A
formatting. So
little bit better. So that's
great.
one way of doing that. There's a lot of more features you can find. Where components are used. Well, don't have any components. Let's do it like this, perhaps. You can do counter, something like that. I can select that one, right click, and find component usages. That did absolutely not work. Let me save that file. Maybe that was the problem. See if that one works now. Find component usages. Did not work this time. This is the worst demo ever.
Um,
Let me see if
you
I
know,
actually need to
you know the demo gods are.
might be that. There's also a feature extract to component that actually made it into Visual Studio. I think it was the last update. That's
I
awesome.
might have had a hand in that one.
Thank you. That's perfect. I really like that. Let's
Yeah.
see if
Shout out to the team slash specifically our intern who kickstarted that last summer, and then we went and polished it up.
there we go. So I apparently
Yay!
didn't need to select it. I don't even know how to use this plugin apparently. So here we can find that the counter component is used, well, only in one place in home.razor.
Great. Yeah, I like being able to have this. I do kind of wish references were more upfront and Razor pages, especially when it comes to components. Because I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, that just seems like a good thing to know when you have reusable code blocks. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So what else can I show you here? There is a feature that is a little bit, well, this is definitely beta. So I can right click on any component and I can generate a bUnit test. Now this is not going to be testing everything, but I can copy it or it will generate onto the clipboard. So let's copy the razor syntax here. Let's create a new file here. Let's just name it test.razor, something like that, and simply add the code. So I mean, this one is very simple. but it creates now I don't have bUnit installed in this project, but it inherits from test content, it's adding the necessary usings, it's setting up the component that we're gonna test. So all of these kind of boring things is done for you. If we would have had parameters, it would also break those out and add those up here so that we can set the values to these different parameters.
Great. That seems very helpful. So I'm assuming that when you do have a B unit installed and you were to try to do the same action manually, you don't get all of that in like a general scaffolding kind of way if you were
No,
to
no.
great. So yeah, that's really helpful. It saves you some, as you said, boring coding time.
Yeah, that's the idea. Making it a little bit easier to kind of work with Blazor. I've actually had a friend of mine. He usually say that he can't work with Blazor at all if he doesn't have this plugin. I know
Mm.
there's another person that went from another editor to this one to back to Visual Studio just because of that extension. I don't
That's
know if
great.
it actually was true, but he told me that.
Yeah, that's really cool to see, and, yeah, I can understand the usefulness of this, and I think I misspoke initially about this just being about, like, route centralization because it's clearly not that, it's also just a lot of great quality of life,
Yeah,
productivity,
that
like paper cuts that can add up.
that's the idea, that's the idea. And I mean, I'm adding feature all the time, so if there's someone that has any ideas that s any pain points, I will be happy to try and solve them.
And I believe we're probably gonna share the link to the repo below for anyone who wants to go check out Blossom if they haven't already. And I know we were having a debate before we started recording on if you say Blazm or Blossom, is it a tomato situation? But I love the extra pun that you said comes with saying blossom, like blossom. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to remember it, what it is too.
I mean, it really doesn't matter, but it is a combination of Blazor, or and awesome. So, I mean, take the A from Blazor, it would be Blossom, I guess, or take the A from awesome, it would be Blossom. So, yeah.
Cool. So is that all for the blossom department, or
Yeah.
move on to doing a
Yeah.
presentation on presentations?
Let's do that. Let's talk
Cool.
about that. I've been doing presentation for a long time, and I watch a lot of presentations. So one of the things that kind of breaks you when you go to a presentation skills coach is that you can see all the mistakes that people do. I started like watching the things that eh, especially when it comes to presentation skills, all the filler words or whatever it may be, all of those things, I register them every time, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest. But a lot of these coaches, they don't talk about writing code. They talk about, well, the filler words, the pausing,
Sure.
the gestures, or whatever it may be. So I started looking at coding. So what can we do to improve coding? And I mean, the first step is usually we're just going to show the code in PowerPoint. That's how I got started. Then I've seen people pre-record the coding part, so they're just showing a video. The problem there is that it is kind of boring to look at, and
Yeah.
the presenter kind of zones out sometimes. So we end
It's
up
so
just
awkward if you're live too, like, I've done presentations where it's like, we had a pre-recording just because like, the builds weren't ready enough to do
yeah,
live. And it's just like, yeah, you just kinda sit and look at it. You look at your audience too, and it's just like this weird dead energy for
yeah.
a minute.
And I mean, then the next level would be like showing finished code. So this is just something I did earlier. Take a look, and we're just going to go through it. And I find that hard to digest. It's a lot of information at the same time.
Mhm. Information.
Then we have, and then we have like you dragging snippets. This is uh, could be good, but if the snippets are too big, it also gets kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then we of course have the build it from scratch. I'm just gonna start file new and I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna type every single character. The problem with that is that sometimes you get into the point where the presenter would go, "Oh, let me see. Did I forget anything? No, I think I have everything in my notes here. No, wait, I have this one." And it kind of gets it gets hard to follow again. Now, I thought that wouldn't it be kind of cool if I could type something and it would type the right thing every time? That would be cool, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Sure.
where StageCoder comes in. There are a couple of things with StageCoder, and uh, I would like to start with the latest edition, which is, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of presenters know how to code and are good at it at the same time as they are talking. But this first feature is actually something that I think can benefit all presenters, regardless if they can type or not.
Mhm.
So by default, if I would like to show you this method, I would like to highlight it somehow. I could do it like this, but it kind of lowers the contrast really, so it makes it harder to read.
Mhm.
I can do something like draw something around it, show that oh, look at this. I can use my mouse, show the code. I ended up changing the background color to red for a selected text. So when I selected the text, everything would turn red. I thought that that was a better way of kind of grabbing the attention. But I believe I found a better way. So in StageCoder, there's something called toggle code highlight. And when you turn it on, it actually needs to set some parameters. And I haven't found a way to switch over the current view without it actually needing to have to close it and open it up again. So I believe that the mouse pointer is indicating that it's still doing that. So toggling this feature is a little bit wonky for now. But also, I mean, for most cases, you probably don't need to toggle it on and off. You would have it on while you're presenting.
Yeah.
So if I would select this one, it would
Ooh,
remove everything else.
that's cool.
So if I want to show this method, I would go, well, this is increment count. This can do this and that, right?
Mhm.
I can select just parts, whatever I'm selecting
What?
that is highlighted. This is actually a friend. I had an idea, and then there was a fellow MVP, Eric Johansson, that created a demo for me so that I could implement this. So I didn't write this code. He did. I wouldn't know how, to be honest. But this is, I think this is a really nice way of highlighting
Yeah,
parts that you want to see.
I love this. This is dope.
And that is,
It's like it's so clear versus
I know,
I
right?
do the highlighting thing all the time and I worry then like I don't know how well people can see that, so I still need to talk it out obviously, but
And I've been using this function. I've been using it like for maybe 3 months now or something like that. And so far, every single time I've used it, someone in the audience comes up to me and says, "Hey, you know what?
where'd you get that?
That highlighting thing, how did you do that?"
Yeah.
Uh, the course that I'm doing on Blazor, and same thing there. Some of the students went message me and the highlighting. How do you do that? So it's a very people that see it really appreciate it.
That is awesome. I love this.
But it doesn't end there. So with the typing stuff, let's say that I want to do a demo. I want to show this button, right? So I can select that text, I can right click and can create a snippet. So let's call this button like that. So snippet
Mhm.
name is button. So what is actually happening is that it's creating a Visual Studio snippet in the background. It's going to put it in a snippets folder in the solution folder. So as long as it's there, the application is going to be able to pick that up. So if I add a comment here and I say button, so it can be a C# comment, it can be like this, a razor comment. I have a bunch of different comment styles that you can use. And then I've kind of hijacked one of the Visual Studio commands, so Control Tab Tab. So if I press Control Tab Tab, it removes the text and I can start typing. Now, I can start typing and just type anything, and it
Ah,
types exactly the text that I want to type. And
sweet.
it's going to stop once it has typed all of the
Cool.
text.
So you can still look official like you're live coding. It's just like
Exactly.
regardless of how I misspell things or mess something up, it's gonna remember.
And I mean, it has never been the point has never been. Let me add that one back here. Would be had been so much. Oh, I'd actually failed that one. So let me add that one again. Button. Control Tab Tab. And I can say, well, I want to add a button. I'm going to add the classes BTN and BTN primary, and I can stop talk. Or I can continue talking. I can show. I can highlight, and I mean, I don't have to type everything, right? And I can do just, well, on click. This is the on click directive. It's going to go to the on increment count method, and since I can stop that, it it becomes it becomes a very nice demo. The first version I did for this one was actually typing all on its own. So I didn't have to type on the keyboard, but then I couldn't stop. So again, it kind of like, well, can I do it? Can this become a little bit better? And well, I think it did. There's also a couple of features, and let's add button back here. Let's copy that one for now. There's also up here in the extension menu, there is well, this is type code, Control Tab Tab,
Mhm.
and it's replace code, in this case, shift paragraph, I guess that's called. So I can go in and replace the code straight away. But there is a better way. At least I think so. Every time I do a talk, I use one of these stream decks. So I have this small one for when I'm presenting live at the conferences. I have a bigger one on my desk here. So I can connect or I can trigger some other things. So I can say replace. So I can just press the replace button and trigger that command in Visual Studio. So
Sweet.
I can
So
bring in code and snippets if I want to as well.
so that's really cool. So how do you set up that sort of like placeholder code and stuff? Or like where do you go to establish what that snippet is gonna be when you're replacing text or adding text?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like, so I guess using the button example again,
Mhm.
if you have a specific button, you're calling it like hello world button or something.
Yeah.
Where where would you set that up so that like as you're typing it will automatically set up that specific line of code that you specified?
Right, that's the just select it and create snippets.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's also a way, let me see if I have my notepad here. So I have a notepad. Thank you for having me. I can copy that and simply press another button that has the type, the code that I'm using, or the command that I'm using is called type code. But
Mhm.
if I insert clipboard in there, I typed clipboard, then I can actually get that text from the clipboard and just type it out, which is really, really nice if you're kind of doing a demo, you're doing a video perhaps. And in that case, you can have a finished project on your second screen, just copy it and start typing it inside of Visual Studio. So don't have to have all of these comments in there if you don't want to.
That is really handy. I must say. I have a couple presentations coming up where this might actually be pretty useful. So
Yeah,
I need to take a look
happy
at
to
this
hear
one.
that.
I like this. I don't enjoy typing in front of other people. like, I'm already nervous enough. I'm gonna spell things wrong and stuff, and, like, making it so I don't have to worry about that or think about it too much. I can just speak to what I'm doing, and also, it's very clear what I'm doing because I can select things and have
And I
like, not
mean,
get lost in the
ju
process.
just the fact that you don't have to keep everything in your head. And
Yeah.
honestly, there is absolutely no place that you feel so stupid as when you are on stage.
Yes.
All of these simple, I mean, everyone in the audience can see the problem. You
Mhm.
cannot for the life of you,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Like,
so
anytime
having
like, I've had a demo go wrong once where, like, I couldn't see what the issue was. I tried debugging it. I'm like, "I don't know what's going on." And I just skipped over it, and then sure enough, the moment my talk is over, I go and try to reproduce it. It's fixed in, like, 10 seconds. It was, like, the easiest fix in the world. I'm like, "Oh gosh." So, yeah. But I like that this removes some of that added stress that comes with presenting
yeah,
sometimes because yeah.
and I mean, I have a project that I'm currently working on. I can't show you anything right now, but basically the idea is that I would do something like this. You see, so this is why I'm not typing live. You can see why. So there we go. Let's copy that one. I would go something like this.
Mhm.
So I can set up my project and say, well, button and end button, right? So this would, if I run I have a tool called the StageCoder Gen, I think. It is so old, so it's running .NET 3, I think. So it really needs some love from me. I haven't just had the time to do that. But basically what it would do is if I add these kinds of tags, it would create the snippets. It would create a start project that doesn't have anything in it. It would have the comment, just the button comment. And it would create an end project, which is everything already put in there. So just in case everything blows up, you have the finished project so that you can show that it actually works. So it would take this template basically, create start project with the comments and an end project without anything, just the button code. Every time I need to, I have perhaps I have a Blazor demo. I'm showing everything, and now I need to reset that demo. I just run that tool again, and it's going to reset everything to the starting point. And I really like that because I mean you can use Git to get to the start point, or you can use Git to get to different points in time. But I think this is a simpler way of doing it. But
Mhm.
it's not done yet, or it's done, but it needs to go up to .NET 9 or 8 at least. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I have things in my on my computer even that has .NET 3, but yeah.
I'm sure you're not alone in that regard. Otherwise, we wouldn't be spending so much time on the .NET side working, like, modernization
Yeah, that's true.
efforts and stuff, so, yeah, you're not alone. Well, this is a very handy tool. I'm probably gonna check this extension out in particular because, yeah, I present a lot, so this could be
Yeah.
quite handy. I'm also excited to see a little bit more about the Blossom stuff myself since I am working on an app right now that's pretty Blazor heavy at the moment, so
Oh, nice. Cool.
might come in handy as well. So these are 2 very useful extensions is what I'm trying to say, and that people should try them out if they're not already.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna put the links to both of those below so that people can check them out. And, if people wanna find you, I'm assuming your Twitter handle or X handle, whatever, or other locations are great place
Yep.
to reach out.
Mm, Engström Jimmy at basically everywhere.
Sweet.
And if you want to check out the podcast, codingafterwork.com, there you can find well the episode with you and well also links to wherever we are, uh, like the Twitch channel and or the YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Sweet. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for hopping back on the show. It's it's great to talk about some really cool productivity tools. Productivity is my absolute favorite. Just save everybody the frustration and boredom. So really good stuff to see.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. And thanks to the viewers for watching. Go check out both extensions. And until next time, happy coding, y'all.